Subscribe right now and hit the bell. Then you won't miss a chapter. And give the show a like. Comment with any thoughts and questions, and I will be happy to chat with you. Thanks for helping out this independent author.
Memoirs of a Genius. "I just don't get any of this," Josh exclaimed with a mix of frustration and excitement. "I mean, it's obvious that these are the memoirs of a genius. Don't get me wrong, the Jeep is awesome and I'm supposed to get all this money every month. But I just don't understand what Mr. M was getting at, and why he was so vague about it all if he wanted me to change the world. And these memoirs, ugh. There are 10 journals here with over 100 pages each. Plus, they're just a bunch of regular recaps of his work, sprinkled with his thoughts and even some poetry. That is okay, I guess. There's no explanation of anything, though." Rachel had been listening dutifully, and now she spoke up. "Well, Josh, you did just get them yesterday. You haven't read even one fully yet. The letter did say to be patient and that these memoirs were important." "Yeah, I guess you're right," chimed Josh. "But when I looked through them, it was just entry after entry and nothing seemed that important. Though he definitely had been doing his genius creating for a long time since that very first journal began. There's just so much there, and I don't feel like I have the time to read all this. I have my own stuff to do and make, you know?" "Well, then don't be overwhelmed. Just do your own thing and you can always come back to them whenever you want," Rachel said with an understanding smile. Josh smiled back at her and replied, "Thanks for coming over, Rachel. Sometimes it just helps me to talk through things with someone." "Of course, Josh." She paused with a thoughtful look and said, "That's what good friends do. And we are good friends. Plus, you listen to me ramble on and on all the time and never seem to tire of me." Rachel paused for a moment and her head drooped. Then she glanced up at him with a bit of insecurity in her eyes. She said quietly, "You're not tired of me, are you?" When Josh saw her at that moment, looking so vulnerable with the sun shining through the window on her face, he thought she looked more beautiful than he had ever seen her. It made him want to give her a big hug to reassure her, so he did. And they stayed that way for some time, connected together in the light of the sun. Rachel broke the silence and spoke softly. "So what are you going to do now? Are you still going to take your pick of college scholarships?" Josh responded with a big sigh and said, "Well, I know Dad and Mama would want me to, but I don't really see the point with all that has happened." He added with a laugh, "I mean, I'm a 16-year-old kid and I'm already set for life. I could just party with you, play VR games, and surf 24/7. Rachel sat up and looked at him with a big smile and said, "That sounds great, but for real, you've been given so much. What are you going to do if you don't go to college? I have my coding project and extra university classes, not to mention I'm still going to be in high school for the next 2 years, so you can't hang out with me all the time." "Well, that's true. You are busy," he said. "I guess I'll just have to see what I can do. I have all these thoughts and ideas flying around. I just need some time to think, if that makes sense." Rachel nodded with understanding, then she jumped up and ran to her bag. "I know. You need to organize your thoughts," she chimed brightly. "Let's make a list of all the things you could ever want to do, no matter how silly or crazy. Then you can take your pick one at a time. You can just add to the list whenever you think of something else." "Hey, that's a great idea," replied Josh as she sat down with a pen and notebook. "Okay, so in no particular order, read Mr. M's memoirs, invent a time machine, make a teleportation device, play VR games and create my own world, and surf with you." Rachel excitedly interjected, "This is some good stuff. Keep going." Restraining her laughter, she smiled to herself as she wrote. She wanted to be supportive and not discourage any crazy ideas, because if she knew one thing about Josh, it was that he was capable of almost anything. After she had written a full page of Josh's thoughts, he stopped and said, "You know, I've been wondering about something." "What's that?" "Why on earth would Mr. M have been teaching a middle school math class if he had all this money and other stuff he was doing? I mean, it doesn't make any sense because he obviously didn't need the money, and it would have been one extra thing to take him away from all his inventing and other work." Rachel thought for a moment, then said, "Well, he was always so fun and kind. Maybe he just liked teaching, you know? The whole invest in the future thing is big with some people." Staring off into the distance, Josh said quietly, "Yeah, maybe. I guess that makes sense, but I just don't know." After a short pause, Josh added with vigor, "I know. I'm going to invent something super cool, just like Mr. M did. But I'm going to need a bunch of stuff." "Yay, a shopping list!" yelled Rachel as she squealed with excitement, and she turned the page of notes vigorously to start a fresh page. "First, you'll be needing some powerful computers. I'll help with that," she exclaimed.
Be sure to share the show with friends and write an Amazon review. Get the entire audiobook right now. Go to sa.vanderwerf.com to get it at an extremely discounted price. To receive the free ebook and my wallpaper book cover image, just sign up for the newsletter at sa.vanderwerf.com. Then you can be notified for the release of the anticipated sequel to The Man Who Made Himself. Thanks so much and enjoy the gifts.